So welcome tonight to Set Your Standards High, How to Choose the Right Product. My name is Uzma Zakir. I hope you guys appreciate the hieroglyphics theme to tonight's presentation because the Connecticut menu really looks just that, right? It looks like hieroglyphics. We do have an interesting naming system here in Connecticut, unlike any other states in the country. And so we don't use strain names. The growers have to assign names to the strains, and that does become challenging when you don't know exactly what strains or what medicine you're getting. So I just wanted to make reading the menu, going through the menu, and understanding a thought process behind why and what makes cannabis medicine, so you can help you choose the right product. Now, don't forget though, we are always here to help you. Our dispensary technicians, as well as our pharmacists, welcome questions and welcome discussions. And at all three of our locations, we do offer free consultations with the pharmacist. So you may have done your initial consultation, maybe you skipped your initial consultation. That's okay. You can always schedule one as you feel that you need it. I see patients will be coming to us every 3 to 6 months. They just want to tweak something, improve something. Maybe they have a new diagnosis or a new symptom that they want to address. Go ahead and give us a call. We usually do those appointments on the phone, so they're very, very convenient. So we do invite you to use that service that we provide. So for our journaling tonight, so for those of you that might be new to the call, a little bit how we like to do this process is to journal and take some notes. So some things that I want you to keep in mind as I speak tonight is be clear about what symptoms you're looking to relieve and looking to how those symptoms affect your lifestyle. So say you're suffering from panic attacks, for example, and maybe they happen in the morning, right when you're about to get your day started. Well, maybe you know that full THC products are very good for your panic, but maybe you can't really continue on with your day. Maybe you get couch locked and it doesn't work with your lifestyle. Try to think of your symptoms and your lifestyle and what you want to get back into your lifestyle. And that's where we're going to explore using different cannabinoids like CBD or CBN, for example, and not something with such a strong psychoactive effect as THC. So you can find relief 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not just at the times where you can have that medicated feeling. So trying to make connecting the dots, symptom, lifestyle, and then understanding your tolerance, what you can and what you enjoy using, and then outcome markers, knowing exactly what you can get back. I love the dog walking example. A lot of patients will tell me that because of their pain, they can't take their dog, for example, for long walks, and it's just maybe down the street and back now. Well, that's an outcome marker that I'm going to keep an eye out as I work with you to see if we can improve that. And then you know for sure that you're improving. Sometimes with cannabis, it can be a little unclear. You just kind of feel good or you forget about the pain, but we want to really hone in on that success. And then again, celebrating your relief. So for tonight, the first choice that I want you to make is to choose yourself. So tonight, our theme is Tonight I Choose Me. You already made the brave step by coming on this call and looking to improve yourself. And so taking that time out, your header for your journal tonight is Tonight I Choose Me. I want to talk about exploring the power of intention and medicating with intention for a purpose of that specific healing that you're looking for. So in January, we talked about searching for gems inside of you. And in February, we talked about looking for glimmers all around us. So glimmers, something that makes us feel calm and connected and feel some joy. And today I want to talk about exploring the power of intention before you medicate and even intention throughout your day. Intentionally and purposefully using your medication to take time to focus on yourself, to bring back the opportunity to do what brings you joy. Maybe you need to set some healthy boundaries for yourself. I do love the expression, when you get on an airplane and they say, put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. It's really, really true. And then sometimes we don't want to feel selfish. So I think the best way to put it is that not to put your needs above anyone else's, but to remind you that it's okay and it will be for your betterment to put your needs at the same level as the other people around you that you care for. and be patient with yourself. So adding intention when you medicate, focusing on yourself and your health. Tonight, I choose me. Also, I want you to list your goals. So when I work with a patient, when our pharmacists work with patients, I want to understand your goals so we have a clear path on what we're working towards. So some common goals that I have seen over the years, of course, as needed symptomatic relief. So sometimes that can look like insomnia. Maybe you have occasional insomnia and you only want to use something as needed. And then understanding what will work for that and what looks like success. So even if we're talking about insomnia, you want to say, I want to sleep better. Okay, do you have difficulty falling asleep or do you have difficulty staying asleep? Or is it both? And then understanding your mental and emotional state at the time that these symptoms arise. So if you're having trouble falling asleep, is it because you're in a lot of pain? Are you having shooting nerve pain? Are you having muscle spasms? Maybe your mind is racing. Maybe you're nervous about maybe having nightmares. Go ahead and list that. We want to connect as many dots as we can. Many patients are looking to prevent the severity and frequency of symptoms. That can look like chronic migraines. So perhaps you're suffering from 3 to 5 debilitating migraines a week, and sometimes it's too hard to play catch up. Once the migraine kicks in, sometimes it can be very difficult to stop or to shorten the duration of that migraine. What we can talk about is maybe using a standard daily dose of a combination of cannabinoids that could look like CBD during the day and THC at night, and bringing down the frequency of those migraines. And we've done that very successfully for many patients over the years, where they may have 3 to 5 migraines a week, and we can bring them down to maybe 2 a month. And then also using the right cannabis medicated products from the program at the onset of the migraine to indeed bring lower the duration and the severity of it. Many patients are looking to safely discontinue medications, definitely with opioids and benzodiazepines. That's something that you definitely want to speak to your pharmacist about, because that's something that we might also want to involve your physician if you feel comfortable. But cannabis has been shown in our experience over the years to just be greatly beneficial to help with withdrawal symptoms, those restless nights, those feelings when the feeling that your skin is crawling. Cannabis can really, really be very helpful. And not just smoking or vaping, oftentimes you'll need a higher dose that might only be available in a sublingual or an oral product. Many patients recently have been coming to lower their inflammation, which I think is amazing because cannabinoids are very, very strong anti-inflammatories. THC has actually been proven to be 80 times more potent of an anti-inflammatory than aspirin and 2 times more potent of an anti-inflammatory than hydrocortisone without those pesky steroidal side effects. So lowering inflammation, absolutely hands down a good choice. And some patients are actually looking to treat their disease. So those are some examples of goals. You can get more specific and you may have some unique ones. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and drop it in the chat because you could inspire somebody else and help somebody else. Now, this is really important also. What delivery system do you prefer? We have a lot of patients who don't want to smoke or vape. I have patients who maybe you have some texture issues and you don't like the way oral solutions feel in your mouth. So understanding what you think the delivery system is suitable for you. And I'll go over a couple of the delivery systems. Other things to look at when choosing a delivery system is how long will it take effect, and how long will those effects last? And then also product availability. We do have to be flexible in the program. These products are all made from natural sources. They're made from the cannabis plant. It's grown, it has a harvest cycle, and then it has to be harvested, and then the medication has to be processed and made. So sometimes there is some lags, and we've seen recently with the CBN tablets that I was working with a lot of patients with, they will be back, I think, by next week or the week after. So that's really good news. So being flexible with product availability is really important. And I just feel that that's important to say because we have to manage our expectations. So some of the delivery systems that I wanted to review today. Sublingual. So sublinguals on your menu will look like an oral solution. Generally, they're dissolved in coconut oil. It could be a spray that you spray right into your mouth. Those tend to be dissolved in alcohol. And some of the oils. So those are the oils, the cannabis oils. You can see them as like Summit CBD RSO on the menu, the Indicol AB Full Spectrum. TheraPlant has a line of oils that can either be vaped or ingested sublingually. So those are the oils that come in the oral syringes. And that's what those are. Those are just so you can choose your own dose and medicate as you would like with it, or even make topicals or make edibles with them. So sublinguals, you will hold it in your mouth for 90 seconds to allow it to absorb from the capillaries in your mouth directly into your bloodstream. It could take anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes to take effect and generally lasts 3 to 4 hours. Also, this is dose dependent. Sometimes if you take a higher dose, it might last longer. So inhalables, that could look like smoking flower. It could look like vaping flower from a dry herb vape. It could look like vaping an oil in one of our cartridges or refills, or even doing concentrates like shatters and crumbles. So anything that you inhale. That is the quickest onset to action. It could be immediate, and I generally say wait 5 to 7 minutes for the effect to kick in, and see if you want to take more. Now, effects can last from 45 minutes to a few hours, again, depending on how much you inhale. So how can you control your dose with an inhalable? You can control it by how long you inhale for, how long you hold it for, and how many inhalations you take. So you can get a lot of usage. And when we talk about, being a little bit more cost effective, you can get a lot of usage from the same product depending on how much you ingest. So just opening that concept up, that if you have a vape that you can reliably fall asleep with, and maybe you take 4 long puffs and you have a good night's sleep, that's something that perhaps you can use during the day for anxiety, for pain, for stress, and in a smaller quantity. So maybe quick puffs or less puffs. So you're not so sleepy or couch locked, but you do get that tension relieved and you do get some relief. So consumables are anything that you swallow that could look like a baked good. We have gummies now in Connecticut, tablets, capsules, and we do have drink mixes. So anytime you ingest cannabis orally and you swallow it and it goes through your digestive system and it's going to get metabolized through your liver, what's really interesting is that delta 9 THC actually becomes delta 11 THC, which crosses the blood-brain barrier more rapidly, and it actually creates a different type of medicated feeling. And for those of you who have tried it, you can probably relate that edible medicated high feeling is different from smoking or vaping. And that's why, because it goes through that metabolism process. Another thing about consumables, why I think it's very effective, it's good for that long-lasting baseline relief. So you can have 6 to 8 hours of relief, and then maybe smoke or vape for as needed symptoms, breakthrough pain or a trigger or a flare. You may need to smoke less, which is nice because you've got that baseline relief from your consumable. So generally it can take, everybody's different. So it could take anywhere from 45 minutes to take effect to 2 hours. But it doesn't vary per individual. Once you know how you process it, you'll always process it the same way. But not everybody absorbs or gets the full effect of a consumable, and that's because of that metabolism process. Sometimes there's just not enough left over to get the feeling that you're looking for. I just had a certified doctor contact me today asking about a patient who was up to 60 milligrams on a capsule for THC to sleep, and it was working effectively, but it was getting very expensive. And my immediate suggestion has always been for years is to switch to a sublingual at a lower dose, because you're going to absorb more of what you're putting in. You can save money and get a different and still get that relief. So that's something that you definitely want to look into. If you feel like tablets and capsules, you keep going higher up and higher up on your dose and it's not working, switch to a sublingual, maybe start with half the dose and then slowly titrate up. So that's a really good way to save money. So again, dosing. Dosing, I feel like, is really tricky. It's hard to understand how to dose with cannabis, especially for myself, being a traditionally trained pharmacist, and for most of us who've been using pharmaceuticals our whole lives. You take If your doctor says 1 tablet every 4 hours, you're not going to take more than that, even if if it's not making you feel 100% or even 75% better. So understanding dosing with cannabis. So, of course, managing your expectations. Different cannabinoids will have different effects. And we're going to talk about exactly what cannabinoids are. But THC is the only cannabinoid that gives you that medicated high feeling. So when we recommend CBD products or non-psychoactive cannabinoids, so on our menu, we've got the CBD, the CBN, and the THCA. It is a very different feeling from THC. And just understanding that expectation. What I like to say is that CBD is what you don't feel, it's not what you do feel. So it takes away. Your shoulders come out of your ears, your jaw should get a little unclenched. You should be able to smile a little bit easier and just feel a little bit more relaxed, or like you're in a warm hug if you get your dose right without feeling disoriented. So understanding your expectation and understanding what you're going to get out of different products when we do the targeted cannabinoids is really important, because you don't want to start using CBD and seeing that it doesn't make you feel like THC and just think there's no benefit to it. There's a tremendous amount of benefit if you can welcome that different type of feeling. Always titrate slowly with THC. So you want to start off at low doses if you're using a tablet or a capsule or an oral solution. Generally, we recommend for sleeping, for example, 5 milligrams to start. And also, again, if you're smoking and vaping, you don't want to inhale for 5 to 7 seconds and hold it in and your eyes are burning. The vapes are made very well and they're high quality, so quick puffs are very useful. And that's how you control your dose when you're smoking or vaping. Be flexible, especially in the beginning, because as we're turning that dynamic around of going from your doctor to telling you that you can only take 1 tablet every 4 hours, and here at the dispensary we're saying, okay, do one spray once a day for 3 days, then increase to 2 sprays. So being flexible with what we're doing here is important. So maybe if you're brand new to cannabis, you've just gotten your card and you're starting, that trial and error period can last anywhere from 5 to 10 days. So being flexible with that and keeping in touch with your pharmacist and your dispensary technician if you have any questions, because again, we want you to succeed on this program and find the relief that you're looking for. Your success is our success. And another thing with cannabis is that there's a wide therapeutic window. What that means is that you can take a small amount or you can take a very large amount and it's still safe for the human body. And that's also where it differs from a lot of pharmaceuticals. So what 5 milligrams can do for one person, it might take 100 milligrams to do for another. And that's actually completely okay. And so understanding that you don't have that ceiling dose as we do with a lot of the pharmaceuticals is a bit of a mind shift and can take some time to really understand. But I'm just inviting you to look into that and consider that as you choose your medication, as well as how you choose to dose it at home. Microdosing is really interesting. Microdosing can look like a 2.5 or 5 milligram dose of CBD or THC. The idea behind microdosing is really that you're using a dose that doesn't make you disoriented, but it's still beneficial. And that's the idea of using those smaller doses. So you're kind of going for the marathon instead of the sprint. So standard daily doses in lower dosing, so you're not so disoriented, it stays cost effective, and then having the right tools for as needed symptoms, breakthrough pain, or flares. Okay, how's everybody doing? Tanya, is everybody doing well?
See smiling faces over here.
Okay, good. All right, I'm glad. Okay, so before we get into cannabis's medicine and the science behind it, I would like to take a moment to honor Dr. Ralph Mechoulam, who is really the pioneer behind cannabis research and cannabinoid science, and he passed away on March 9th of this year. We have learned so much from him. He was the first scientist to isolate the chemical structure of THC, and he also discovered our natural endocannabinoid, which I'm about to explain now. So thank you, Dr. Ralph Mechoulam. The botanist honors you today. All right, everybody. What makes cannabis medicine? It's the phytocannabinoids. So phyto meaning it comes from a plant, and cannabinoids is the molecular compound. So these are some of the cannabinoids that we have available as products in the program. There are over 100 cannabinoids to the cannabis plant that contribute to its medicinal benefit. THC and CBD are the most prominent. THC, as I said earlier, is the only one that gives you that psychoactive medicated feeling. CBD is the second most prominent component to the plant. And when you see strains that are higher in CBD, that's because of the genetics of the plant. That some plants are bred or just naturally will form more CBD as they're growing than other plants. THCA is the acid precursor to THC. So when you buy your flower or a whole plant, you actually don't have much THC in it. That means if you were to eat it, you really wouldn't get high because what's in the plant before you light it is THCA. So THCA gives you the medicinal benefits of THC without that head high. So what do we use THCA for? We use it for patients who maybe they can't tolerate THC. Patients who can't tolerate or are not interested in using CBD will try THCA. It's it can be very good for anxiety, it can be very good for nerve pain. It's a strong antioxidant. And then CBN, so just natural life cycle of the cannabinoids in the plant. THC will naturally degrade to CBN, which is cannabidiol. No psychoactive effect. What we've learned from CBN just in the past year and a half from having it in the program, it's traditionally been known to be very good for sleep. And I would start to describe it as that with THC, you get high and fall asleep. And with CBN, you just get tired and fall asleep. What we're learning from using CBN in the dispensary and with our experience, it's also really great for daytime anxiety, and it's also been showing to be very good for muscle spasms. So definitely considering options, just having those tools in your toolbox. We have a couple of products on the menu with CBN. So Advanced Grow Labs does make a tablet. Right now, they mixed it with hybrid THC. It's about 4 milligrams of THC and 1 milligram of CBN. And then the CBN tablets from CT Pharma, which they assured me are going to be back soon, hopefully by next week. The last batch came out 11 milligrams of CBN and 2 milligrams of THC, which I think is a really, really nice balance. And I saw a lot of really good results for it. And hopefully Advanced Grow Labs will bring their vapes back that had CBN in it, which did wonders for many patients for their anxiety and for pain. So what makes cannabis medicine? The phytocannabinoids. These are the molecular components to the cannabis plant. They either fit into our cells' cannabinoid receptors or interact with our cannabinoid receptors, resulting in physiological change in the human body. So why does it do this? Because it interacts with the endocannabinoid system. So these beautiful cannabinoids that we were just discussing that comes from the plant, lo and behold, our body actually makes its own versions of them, and they're called endocannabinoids, endogenous cannabinoids. They come from the inside. So what happened with the discovery, bringing up Dr. Ralph Mechoulam again, is that first he discovered the chemical structure to THC, and that was in the 1960s. And then in the 1980s, another researcher actually discovered that we have a receptor that THC fits like a lock and key in, and he called it the cannabinoid 1 receptor. So the cannabinoid 1 receptor is prevalent in our brain, our central nervous system, our organs, and our tissues. We actually have more receptors for cannabinoids in our central nervous system than for anything else. It's the most abundant protein in our central nervous system. We also have cannabinoid 2 receptors, which are present on our immune system, which is why cannabinoids are so effective for inflammation, and also on our organs and our skin. So they discovered that we have these receptors for THC, and they're scratching their heads thinking, why on earth do we have receptors for something that comes from a plant? And then in the early 1990s, Dr. Ralph Mechoulam discovered the first endogenous cannabinoid, and he named it anandamide. And he named it after Ananda, which is the Sanskrit word for bliss or supreme joy. So say hello to your bliss molecule that's been present with you since the time you're in your mother's womb. There's a second endogenous cannabinoid, it's called 2-AG, and that also exists in the central nervous system. So what does the endocannabinoid system do? The endocannabinoid system plays a part in almost every physiological function in the human body. So that's why when you look at the qualifying condition list on a medical marijuana program, it varies so much, right? It can go from multiple sclerosis to Crohn's disease to PTSD. When you look at a traditional health model, you wouldn't think that one molecule can help with so many different things. But the endocannabinoid system is really overarching, and it's working to bring all of our functions back to balance. So if something is thrown off course, your endocannabinoid system will kick into gear to bring that back down. So that could look like your fight or flight response in an anxiety situation. It could also look at an acute inflammatory response in result of injury or a bacteria or a virus. So what does the endocannabinoid system do? It regulates our response to pain. It actually plays a part in how our body sends pain signals to our central nervous system, and also how our central nervous system interprets those pain signals. So you'll see people with a healthy endocannabinoid system or a supplemented endocannabinoid system have a higher pain threshold. It also stimulates hunger, so we know about getting the munchies, and that's great for people who are suffering from conditions with low appetite or cachexia. It also plays a part in the brain's reward pathway, working on our dopamine levels, and that's why it makes you feel good. It regulates our mood and emotion, so I think we all know that it puts us in a better mood, makes us less irritable. Also reduces anxiety and depression. Again, working in the amygdala section of our brain, our hippocampus, and our prefrontal cortex, helping us with our fight or flight response. And with depression, it actually balances our neurotransmitters. It works on the GABA and glutamate channels, which basically tells a neurotransmitter whether it should turn on or it should turn off. So keep doing what you're doing or stop doing what you're doing. It's also involved in learning and memory processing. So there's lots of different functions, and those are just a couple of them. So there's more, but I didn't want to make the list too long today. So the endocannabinoid system explains why one plant can treat so many different symptoms. And the reason why I want to explain this, because as we start moving into products, we're not going to be differentiating tonight what's good for pain or what's good for XYZ, because it's all going to apply to you, even if you have not all of these symptoms or just a couple of these symptoms, or maybe just one of these symptoms. So if you're looking to treat your pain during the day, it's not going to be a whole lot different from how you treat your anxiety during the day, because you're going to get the same benefit from the same products. It's going to be dose dependent. And of course, your goals, your personal goals, and your lifestyle dependent. So it could be you're looking to treat pain, you're looking for relief from anxiety, fatigue, spasms, migraines, or insomnia. So those are a couple of examples that I think that we see the most at the dispensary. And if you have anything else that you're looking for, go ahead and drop that in the chat. Again, because we're here for one another. So I want to talk about flower and vapes first. So the Entourage Effect. I think you guys have heard about it. I want to explain it if you have or if you haven't. And that is how do we tell you, when you guys tell us, I want to feel this way from this flower, what should I get? These are the things that we look at. We're going to look at the terpene profile, we're going to look at the cannabinoid content, and we're going to look at the strain to kind of get that essence of the feeling. Now, when you put these three parts together, that's where you can really get that understanding of how that particular harvest or that particular batch is going to make you feel. And that's what we look at. So we are prepared to make suggestions for you. So I'm going to explain each of them. And I'm going to start with terpenes, because it's proving now to be that terpenes are extremely important in how how that flower is going to make you feel and with the response that you're going to get from it. So it's not just about the strain. It's definitely not if it's indica, sativa, or hybrid. And the cannabinoid content does make a difference. So how potent is it in THC? But it only makes so much because, again, I was just explaining that you can smoke more, you can smoke less. So a couple of just safety pointers about terpenes, because I don't want to mislead anybody about anything, because there is so much discussion, and I just want to give you 100% accurate information here. There have been about 120 terpenes identified in the cannabis plant. And here in the Connecticut program, we're pretty lucky because the terpenes are listed on the labels. And the reason why we're lucky is that that doesn't happen in most other states, and it gives us so much information on how we can help you better. But it's important to note that the clinical relevance of terpenes for smoking, vaping, or ingesting other medical cannabis products is very much a debate. And so I'm not advising you on the treatment of any medical condition just based on the terpene profile. The idea of the terpenes is really, I'm going to share with you what patients tell us how terpenes at certain levels makes them feel. So that's just how you can help choose your flower or your vape, and then coincide it with the time of day and your lifestyle. So that's the best part of it. Research done on terpenes are with targeted doses over a specified duration that do not translate into the use of the medical products available at the dispensary. All right. So what is a terpene? So terpenes are the aromatic parts of the plant that give cannabis its smell. Terpenes exist in almost all plants and fruits and even some vegetables, and that's what gives them their smell. They're also what essential oils are made out of. Essential oils are primarily made of terpenes, and they play an important role in protecting the plant against mold, fungus, and bacteria. And essential oils, I think we're all familiar, have been used since the Middle Ages for their medicinal properties and their fragrance. And they're widely used today as food additives and in cosmetics. So that's exactly what the terpene is. Now we're going to talk about what terpenes do for us when we use it with cannabis. So you'll see the terpene profiles, and I'm sure that they get a little overwhelming. So what we have learned from our patients over the years is that anything listed over 0.2% has the potential to have a clinical effect. But you also want to look at the balance of all the terpenes, and I have some examples ready for you so we can go through them. So alpha and beta pinene comes very common in pine needles and some other herbs like cilantro. And patients have come back and told us that the pinenes are good for focus. It's really something that you expect to see in a something that's traditionally classified as a sativa flower. And it can be very good for focus. We also have heard from patients, if you do struggle with anxiety or racing thoughts, that pinene has made that worse for them. So keep that in mind. You're looking for a flower that is very calming. You may want to avoid something that's high in pinene. Okay, limonene, just like what it sounds, it comes from lemons and other citrus fruits. It's found in the rind. And same way how you feel when you smell a lemon, you perk up a little bit, right? So patients have told us that limonene is really kind of feels like that joyous terpene. Brings you joy, brings you that euphoria. If you have, sometimes if we have that traditional indica type of a flower, that high in limonene, I'll say, hey, it looks like you're gonna get happy and you're gonna fall asleep. So that's a nice thing. So the limonene is really there. Patients tell us for that joyous aspect of medicating and not necessarily inducing any racing thoughts or paranoia. And again, you're going to be looking at something over 0.2% when it's listed. Beta-myrcene, commonly found in mangoes. Beta-myrcene patients have come back and told us that it's great for pain and for insomnia. It's the one that kind of makes you tired. Patients have said that can contribute to that couch lock feeling. And couch lock can be really nice if you've had a really long day. Maybe you were struggling with your anxiety all day. Maybe you wore out your body a little too hard and you're having aches and pains, or your muscle spasms that are usually under control are a bit worse. Beta-myrcene is a great terpene to look for. Caryophyllene, commonly found in black pepper. So if you have a batch or flower that's smelling or tasting a little peppery, has a lot of caryophyllene in it. We do now know that caryophyllene actually fits into the CB2 receptor, which is pretty interesting. CBD doesn't even do that. Caryophyllene, similar to myrcene, patients have told us that it is really great for pain relief, couch lock, and muscle spasms. Linalool. Linalool comes from lavender, and think about what you know from lavender. It tends to be calming and it tends to be soothing and good for rest. We have seen more linalool in the products in Connecticut, I would say, over the past year. And at the dispensary, we've all been really pleased about it. We've been really pleased with the feedback from patients from the linalool. It's a really nice calming, even effect. Patients have told us not necessarily sleepy, So really, really great for anxiety and pain is what patients have told us. Humulene is related to caryophyllene. It's found in hops, and we have been seeing more of that lately as well. So linalool and humulene we used to not include on these presentations, but I'm happy to see that we've been seeing it more. And so here they are today. So humulene, you're looking at, from what I read from a study on Scholar Google, definitely good for anti-inflammatory processes. Strains. All right, so the question marks are here for a reason. Hybrid indica sativa. So these terms, I think, are we're doing away with them. Strains have been crossbred so much over the years, and we have really great, unique strains that are incredibly fun, and it's nice to see the combinations, but really almost everything is hybridized, and everything really depends on that particular harvest. So a strain that's grown from the same seed indoor here in Connecticut will have a different result from maybe a strain grown outdoors in sunny California. Same thing if you're a home gardener and you're growing heirloom tomatoes. You don't get the same thing every time, each time you grow, each harvest that you get from your tomatoes. So same thing with the cannabis strains. So remember that this is a plant just like any other. So plant strains are variations from the same species. They do share a common ancestor, and they do have slightly different essences. So we can talk about some strain families, like the diesels, for example, would be considered a sativa, the hazes, and then you also have some classic indica strains, which would be like the pushes, and then hybrids, things like Girl Scout cookies or Blue Dream. And that's great. And you're definitely going to get essence from that strain to get an idea of how it's going to make you feel. However, the terpenes could really trump the essence of that strain. So you're going to look at the strain as definitely a starting point or as a cornerstone, but we're going to look at that particular batch with the terpenes that we just discussed to really understand how it's going to make you feel. So maybe one batch of Girl Scout cookies put out by Curaleaf in the fall came out indica dominant because they had it tested higher in myrcene and caryophyllene, but maybe the batch that's going to come out in the spring might be a little bit more sativa dominant. Maybe it came out with a lot of limonene and pinene. So that's what we're looking at when we make recommendations for you. So I just want to give you that knowledge so you can use it yourself. Cannabinoid content. Percentages, milligrams, what's going on? I know it looks like hieroglyphics. All right. So when you look at anything that you inhale, we're going to look at the percentages. So if you're looking at a flower in Connecticut previously, we've seen really high percentages, up to 40%. That's pretty high. And then I feel like if the THC content is that potent, it could possibly be worth more than really what the terpenes or the strain is saying. It could just be so strong that maybe it'll put you to sleep no matter what. So those are things to look at. I find that really a really healthy range. It's really in the 20s, in the 20%, 24 to 27% is a really great flower cannabinoid content for THC to go for. And then again, you can control your dose. So maybe don't shy away from some of the lower THC percentages if you have been just going for that highest THC possible, because maybe you have a slightly lower THC, but you've got full terpenes. You're going to really feel more impact from that particular batch. When we look at sublinguals or consumables, or even some of the oils that come in the syringes, we're going to be looking at the milligrams. So percentages for vapes and for flower, and I want you to look at the milligrams for the tablets, the capsules, as well as the sublingual products like the oral solutions and the sprays. So they're measured differently, and they're going to work differently, as we discussed, with different delivery systems. And then understanding your milligram, of course, and we talked about titrating up slowly, being flexible with yourself in the beginning, managing your expectations and understanding your response. And that's something that we can help you with at the dispensary, and we'll be happy to discuss that with you. I put CBG on there because as I was looking through the menu this week, I saw that we had a fair amount of vapes and flower that are testing with, up to 2 to 3% CBG. CBG is another non-psychoactive cannabinoid. It's starting to be shown as a really strong antioxidant, has a lot of benefits, and without giving you that head high. So I'm a fan of CBG for sure. I hope to see more CBG products in the program. All right. I see your hands raised, Tanya. Sorry. I don't know how long it was raised for.
It just went up.
Okay, good.
We have a question in the chat. Why are there warning labels now on the products? It's noted that they may not have been on the labels prior to adult use. Do you know what's up with that?
Yes, I think it's a regulation with the new adult use market in Connecticut. So it's a regulation from the state.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I have what is classified as an indica flower on the left and what would be classified as a sativa flower on the right. And I chose these in particular, if you guys want to take a look at the terpenes to think why I chose these. These are from the menu this week. Fjorden C flower, hash plant G13 from CT Pharma. And we have about 30% THC, which is lovely. Look, you got a little bit of CBG in there, which is pretty cool. So looking down at the bottom where it says prominent terpenes. So again, indica-like terpenes, what patients come back and tell us, you're looking at beta-myrcene and caryophyllene. So you add those two together, you've got the 1.28, 0.19, so that's just under the 0.2, the 0.20 that I was saying. And you have about 1.5% of an indica-like terpene. But then you look at the pinene and the limonene, and you have about 0.5. So you're going to feel that little bit of focus, or that what that pinene will make you feel like. It's not going to be like a complete total couch lock indica without any type of cerebral effect. So I think that's interesting. That's how we would look at that. And then the cureleaf whole flower on the right, Citron, the strain is Snow Dog, really popular strain in Connecticut since I started in 2015. This is a type of sativa strain that I would say is maybe not for the lighthearted. So it can definitely make your mind race a little bit. It has a very strong cerebral effect. And with that in mind, that essence of the strain, you have a 25% THC content. So that's the cannabinoid content. We would kind of think of that as mid-range. That's a really nice range. But then the terpenes will tell the rest of the story. So you have a decent amount of beta-myrcene in there, right? That what patients tell us is that indica-like terpene for couch lock and for pain. And you've got a good amount of beta-caryophyllene and linalool. So those are relaxing. And then you've got that nice amount of limonene. I would describe this, and if you guys want to take a second to see what you would think of it and then see if we match, is that this would feel like what we would traditionally describe as a sativa dominant hybrid. This would be a great product if you are looking for motivation, if you're looking for energy to do something, even exercise, if your tolerance allows for that, because that myrcene and that caryophyllene is going to give you that pain relief and give you that muscle spasm relief, according to patients that tell us. All right, and this is a tiger bread this week from TheraPlant. I wanted to include a lower THC percentage and invite you to explore using that a little bit differently than maybe you would use your regular flower if you're looking for higher THC potencies. And yowzies, look at that pinene in here. So this is a hybrid, but with that 0.9 alpha pinene, 0.36 beta pinene, you've got 1.26% in the pinene family and a good amount of limonene and just a touch of beta caryophyllene. So from what patients have told me, based on this terpene profile, I'll say that you're looking at what would feel like a sativa dominant hybrid. And that hybrid body feeling would be coming more from the strain than from the terpene. So again, looking at the essence of that strain. So a vape over here on the right, the Summit CBD Peak Slim Vape, that is a 4-to-1 CBD to THC disposable vape pen from CT Pharma. And the terpenes I thought came out really interesting in this one. 1.06% beta caryophyllene, 0.88% beta myrcene, which is going to be really nice from what patients tell us for anxiety, for stress, and just for that general relaxation, getting rid of that tension, getting some pain relief. But then it's got the 0.70% pinene. So that's going to be great for focus. If you're feeling a little down in the dumps, I think that this would be a great choice. If you're feeling achy and if you're feeling a lack of motivation, the CBD is going to be calming from the vape. And then you've got those nice terpenes in there to give you that full balance. Okay, we can take a pause here. How is everybody doing? Yes, Jackie.
So
Doing okay.
on to labels, we did have someone ask on certain products, they've noticed there aren't listed terps, and if there is a reason for that.
Okay, so on our menu, so there
Yes.
should be.
Maybe like on the container, it doesn't list the terps anymore, and they have now a scan.
Oh, okay.
Maybe to
Okay.
save ink.
Maybe to save ink, Tanya. So there has been a lot of changes, and I know it's a little intimidating for those of us in the medical program with the changes that have come recently with the launch of the adult use market in Connecticut. I would say hang in there. You know, everything is going to come back to balance, hopefully in a couple of weeks or months, and we'll have a better understanding of making sure that we're all compliant with the new regulations and meeting the needs of the consumer. Definitely contact the DCP, the Department of Consumer Protection. They are there for you to represent and advocate for you on issues and questions that you feel that you feel need to be addressed. So you have that right as a consumer to directly contact the DCP, just like at a regular pharmacy. You always have the right to contact the DCP. So yeah, what we try to do is stay as compliant as possible. So with the terpenes not being listed on the container, that has something to do probably between the growers and the state. We are continuing to put the terpene profiles on our menu. We'll have the top 3 prominent terpenes from these products listed on our menu going forward, and hopefully a picture of the label that should have the terpenes on it. But I feel like that's something I should look into. So Jackie, if you can note that patient's name, we can follow up tomorrow.
Will do.
Thank you.
Someone made a good mention saying that it could be a possible, you just can scan it and it will show you the terps on your phone. So I'm not sure if that's something that could be the solution, but very interesting if that's a new
Yeah.
if they're doing that.
Yeah, change is hard, you know, especially for us who've been in the program for so long, and we finally got into this groove of consistency. I think that this has really felt like a bit of a curveball, but we're all in this together. A couple of points about the adult use program. You know, the tax, there is a lot of tax that you don't pay as a medical patient, and the products aren't the same. So a lot of these minor cannabinoids that we're talking about, like CBD, CBN, and THCA, are not available in the adult use program. So I would definitely say continue to get your card. I just renewed my medical card in February. Jackie helped me with my registration. Thank you, Jackie. She was great. So definitely stick to it. The benefits are immeasurable. Okay, so continuing to talk about terpenes, and I do like to talk about terpenes with everyone, and when you guys respond for what you want to know more about, terpenes is usually high on the list. And I think we will be getting ready to drop the link for the event survey into the chat. So if you could please fill that out, we really love doing these programs for you, and the feedback is really important to help us continue to do these programs. So please be honest. Please be honest and please take your time with it and let us know what you want us to talk about in the future, because I really do use it as a guide as we plan these events. All right, on the left, we have the Oralex Pure Vape. That is from CT Pharma, and that is a great, well-known strain called the Wedding Cake, which is a traditional hybrid. So let's see, based on the terpenes here, if we think it's going to be like a hybrid. And this is what I would call like really good numbers here. You got so many terpenes well above that 0.2%. And so we'll look at the caryophyllene, myrcene, and linalool first. You have almost 3% just there alone. And then look at the limonene, the pinene, and both of the pinenes. So you have like almost 2.4%, and then you have some humulene in there. So this is a really full-bodied product that I would say is win-win all around. The cannabinoid content is nice. That touch of CBD, I don't think would make much of a difference. And you have a little bit of CBG and THCV in there. So it looks like they really extracted it without too much processing and got so many parts of the plant. So I would agree. I would say this Oralax, the strain, is a traditional, what we would call a hybrid. The terpenes match that because those indica-like terpenes and those sativa-like terpenes are balanced out almost in number. And I think that, again, controlling your dose with how much you vape, how long you inhale for, how long you hold it for, this is a really good product for head and body. So the Biscay Pure, this is from Theraplant, the Electric Lemon G. This is an example of the oral syringe I was talking about. So it's very potent, 869 milligrams of THC in just 1 ml of oil. And here they measure the terpenes as well. This is what is classified as a sativa strain, but you have a lot of beta caryophyllene and beta myrcene in there with a good amount of limonene. So you're looking at some, what patients would describe to us, I would say, is some pain relief there and some muscle tension relief. So this could be good if you like to work out while you're medicated. This would be a good choice because I think you'll have that motivation. You'll feel really good in your mind and like carefree spirited. Feel good in your body as well. So the HH Red syringe, really popular product. It's really versatile. It's about 20 parts CBD to 1 part THC. This product is not a pure oil. It is dissolved in sesame seed oil, so keep that in mind. I brought this as an example of really where we're looking at cannabinoid content in milligrams, and we're not really looking at the terpenes. So this is where you're relying more on the power of the cannabinoids than on the terpenes and measuring your dose in milligrams to treat symptom or disease. Very effective for anxiety and for panic. I have a lot of patients who do well with nervous system issues. The HH Red is very effective. And I think this is our last product, is the Encore Sour Strawberry Peach. It's a 2-to-1 gummy, 2 part CBD, 1 part THC. And I was so impressed that there were terpenes listed on the label here. So they also did a good job with their extraction. They must have used maybe full plant extracted oil to make these gummies. And I think that's pretty cool. So if you have the tolerance for something like this, I would say definitely pick that up. All right, so love yourself with intention tonight, medicate with intention, and I'm happy to take some questions and answers. And I kept it in an hour tonight, you guys. That was one of my goals.
I don't see any medical questions popping up just yet, but there was some confusion with our post-event survey link. One of the questions still showed last month's CannaConvo name, so I apologize for that. The date's been updated, and the link, both links that posted will work and take you to the proper survey. So sorry about the mix-up, but the link should work now. And thanks for taking the time to take them too. It helps us figure out who's who. For attending, you still earn $5 off your next purchase, as well as if anyone's interested in having the recorded presentation emailed to you, by filling out the survey, you can let us know who would like that, and then we'll make sure we get it to you.
Okay, great. And then I just wanted to put here again, the idea of the journaling, because that's something you can continue to do over the course of your therapy and as you're titrating up and as you're trying different cannabinoids and products. It's important to journal, be flexible with your dosing, because we might think, hey, that doesn't work. Well, maybe you just require a higher dose, or maybe you require a lower dose than what you started with. So remember that flexibility. And exploring the power of intention. I wanted to leave you with, yes, choose yourself tonight and medicate with intention. Take time to focus on yourself. Yes, Tanya. Oh, you're on mute.
Someone was wondering who had experience with the gummies that cause constipation. Do you think to death? We were muted, Uz.
We both got muted.
I don't know how that happened, but were you able to hear the question about if water would help with constipation from the gummies?
So I'm thinking, look at the ingredients that the gummies are made out of. So let's remember that gummies are gummies. They're literally candy. Okay, so they have the medicinal benefit because they are medicated. But I think AGL has gelatin in them. CT Pharma is using pectin, so they're more vegetarian. So see if those ingredients that the gummies are made out of, see if those are suitable for you. Because maybe you can get the same cannabinoid content that you're looking for in a tablet or capsule that shouldn't cause constipation. So I think that it's the inactive ingredients that could be causing the constipation.
Lisa has a question for you about the capsules.
Okay. Hi, Lisa.
Hi. So I do vape, and I know that the vape has the terpenes in it. Sometimes it's difficult to get the Pagodi 5 and 10 mgs. But I discovered this weekend, I was wondering, because I was desperate. So I thought, right, what am I going to do? And I ended up getting the hybrid. But when I called the pharmacist, they were saying that there really is no difference between the sativa, the hybrid, and the indica capsules. They think that they were labeled like that maybe in the beginning for marketing purposes. And they said that there's just THC in there. So I could
Okay.
do a hybrid.
So not
Okay.
necessarily, and that's a great debate, right? That's a great debate. So when they make, so I think you're talking about the TheraPlant family of capsules. That's the Savoti, the Pagodi, and the Indodi, right?
Right.
So Savoti, that oil is pressed from a blend of TheraPlant's sativa flowers. The Pagodi is pressed from a blend of their hybrid flowers, and their Indodi is pressed from a blend of their indica flowers. Now, I think that you're going to have, for sure, the essence of those strains still in those oils. Now, when it gets so processed that it's dried out into a tablet, I think there's probably even less of that essence, and you're getting more THC, just general THC. But there's a debate for that. So that's a great point. So I wouldn't say that they're just labeled like that for marketing. They are pressed from different plant blends.
Okay, so maybe, all right, I didn't want that to sound, okay. So I guess my point was that they were saying, that it's, even though I'm taking the Indodi, I can still take the Pagodi at nighttime to help me sleep. This is what they were saying, because it's just basically THC with no terpenes.
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways to look at that. So I'll just say based on my experience, like patients could get, and it depends on that hybrid blend that they use, right? And the terpenes that are it depends on the hybrid blend that they use to put in that particular batch of those capsules. So I've definitely have experience with patients where the Pagodi was too cerebral. It was too much in their head, like a sativa dominant hybrid almost. And then, so I would say that I think that you have to try it and to see how it affects you, especially if you already bought it, and then see how it works for you as an individual, because cannabis is such individualized medicine that if you got did you try it yet at night, and did it help you sleep?
I did. First night was okay, but I've noticed night 2 and night 3
Yeah.
that I'm waking up about 2 hours
Yeah.
earlier than what I usually do. And so the only thing I can attribute that to is the fact that I'm doing the Pagodi I'm doing one Pagodi and one Indodi at night.
And when you wake up 2 hours earlier, Lisa, like, where are you at? Is your mind very awake? Are you feeling very stimulated mentally?
Not stimulated, but I'm definitely, when I do just Indodi, if I wake up, I go right back to sleep. It's one of those, okay, cool, I can roll over and I know I'm not going to start thinking about anything. I'm just going to fall back to sleep. It takes a while. And I feel rested when I'm awake, but I don't feel as though I'm going back to sleep. I don't think I am. So
Okay.
that kind of defeats, yeah. So, and that's why I was asking, because with the vape, you can sit there and read all your terps on it, and so you know
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
getting. Whereas with the capsules, those are really what I rely on. I've tried the tablets, and the tablets don't seem to be as good as the capsules. I really like the capsules, but the Indoti is really hard to get a hold of if you're not getting the 50s or the 100s, and that's just too much for me. So
Yeah, the Indoti also comes in an oral solution.
okay.
And so you could also put that into an capsule and swallow it, so it lasts longer in your body to keep you asleep, rather than using it as an oral solution. So I don't know if anyone on the call tonight has ever tried the prescription drug Marinol, which is the synthetic THC in a capsule. So that's going to feel very different from a Pagodi or an Indoti 5 milligram capsule, because you get the whole plant, right? There's the sacred element to something that comes from nature that's not going to exist in a synthetic capsule. And then to just repeat myself with what I said earlier, the way they are making that capsule family, it is specific from their blends of strains. So
And that's
I
what
think that it
yeah.
should be more than just THC.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also sometimes you just get to the milligram level of THC. It's so strong, it's going to put you to sleep no matter what. But it doesn't sound like you're there. And it can be. I've had patients tell me the Pagodi was a little too stimulating, and it'll depend on the batch for sure.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, everyone.
Wait.
Yes. Hi, Glenn.
Oh, Glenn, you've been muted. That's okay. Happened to us too.
I just wanted to thank you two girls for the wonderful time that I had and what I learned from these two girls at the Yukon Symposium this past Thursday. And I attended whole day, and it was an unbelievable educational experience. And I'm so thrilled that Uzma and Tani, you're pushing for these things as outreach people so that more people can really learn. It was incredible what these doctors are doing, and physicists and scientists are doing now to try to help all of us patients on different levels. And it's exciting for me as a cancer patient. And I just want to share with you today that my exam went very well. Can
That's great news, Glenn. That is great news. And thank you, Glenn, for joining.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So I'm a little bit tipsy because I had to just let loose tonight because the news was so stressful. So yeah, it's good. It's everything's under control now, and I got my treatment today, and doctor was very pleased with things. So I'm
so glad.
I'm so happy.
Thank you.
I'm so happy. And thank you for coming that day.
Yeah, and I had to share this with the community that things have really changed for me since I've gotten to this program, and it's kept me level, during a time of cancer. And I can't say enough for the compassion and just the availability and what we have that we can get for products to help patients like me and certainly other patients. But thank you again. I look forward to this stuff you guys do because it's just so educational for me. I've got a whole bunch of notes here, but
yeah,
Glenn, you're the best.
I don't take notes as good as you. I was looking at you taking notes, and yours are way more neater than mine. I can't even read some of mine. But anyway,
yeah, the Yukon Symposium was great. And thank you for bringing it up, Glenn.
Yeah, and I want to tell everybody out there that there are tons of scientists and doctors and people, PhDs that are working behind the scenes on all this stuff effortlessly to help all of us patients in different ways. And it's just very, very refreshing as a patient. So that's my little spiel for tonight.
Yeah, thank you. We've been waiting a long time for cannabis to be taught and represented at universities. And the time is finally here. And we're so honored to be a part of it and actually be at the forefront of it. So we were able to share some of our case studies and some of our presentations and slides. I was had the honor of speaking on the industry panel that closed the event and really talked about the patient experience. So a lot of times in the cannabis industry, there's so many different parts to any business and to any industry. And my role is to advocate for each and every one of you to advocate for the quality of medication that you're getting in the program, to make sure the research. I mean, I really asked a room full of scientists that we need more actual clinical research of what we're doing at the dispensary. Nobody's really studying what we're doing, which I think is still beautiful because it's like kind of grassroots and we're all working together to get a better understanding. Like how I said, what we learned from about CBN in the past year and a half. We didn't know. And there's no studies that are going to tell us that, but you and I know. We know what we're doing here, and that's what matters.
And the person that just wrote to me that said, you've got some great medications behind me, that's true. That's a 1968 Gibson Les Paul Gold Top, and that's a killer Marshall DSL. I'm a studio musician. Somebody just typed in there, wow, you got good medication behind you. And yes, that's half of my medication is keeping my head together, and I need these people to keep it together and my body together so that I can make music. And it's a beautiful thing for me so far.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's great. I'm so happy for you, Glenn.
Somebody just wrote, I like your medicine behind you. I'm like,
okay, some questions in the chat that I'm seeing. Thank you, Paula. Yeah, your school did amazing things this past week. They have a cannabis horticulture class. I was fortunate enough to be a guest lecturer there in December. So they are doing great things. They're doing great work right on the campus. And then, yeah, so Tanya answered the question about the consultation. So this is really a starting point for you. I hope you have a better understanding, and we are here to take you the rest of the way. So, you know, what I always ask for is exactly what I put on this list here tonight. I want to know what your goals are. I want to know what all of your symptoms are, not just physically, but your mental state and your emotional state. I want to know what you're looking to get back in your life that your symptoms or your disease may have taken away from you. That's really important. That's a goal. That's something that every human being who has a divine birthright deserves that. And we believe that completely. And with the power of cannabis, the sacred healing, the physical healing, we believe that when we work with you directly, we can help get you there. And again, that's why we have these consultations at no charge, over the phone, super convenient. You want to do it in person, we can do it in person. Also, just call your dispensary, and each location has great pharmacists that will be able to help you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much and have a great night.
Bye, everybody.
thanks.
Bye. And
Have a
medicate
nice
with
night.
intention. Medicate with intention.
Yeah.
Good night.
I'll do that.
Kill it, guys.
Bye, good night. Bye.